Hello, thank you for joining the South Carolina Department of Consumer Affairs today for our webinar on imposter scams. Kind of the big way that scammers are able to pull off these scams are through spoofing. And generally speaking, you've probably heard us talk about this before if you've been on one of our presentations before, but we'll kind of do this real quickly with the spoofing part of it. But phone calls just aren't the main way that they're spoofing anymore. So basically, scammers are finding any way that you interact and that you communicate, and they're doing the same type of thing. So it can be email, phone calls, text messages, and they're basically pretending to be somebody else. They're masking how they're contacting you and making it look like somebody else is contacting you. So the way they do that is they use well-known names like government agencies, charities, businesses, pretty much anybody you can think of, but they're using those well-known names to pretend to be somebody that you know and trust. And again, they're kind of using that to, convince you to respond to their email, to reply to that text message, or to click the link on it, or to even answer the phone if they're doing that, phone spoofing where it looks like somebody else is calling you, but it really is a scammer. So really they're doing any kind of thing they can do to kind of trick you into thinking they're somebody else. And again, it can be fake profiles on social media, it can be phone numbers, text messages, the list goes on and on. Again, it's just kind of any way that you communicate. Scammers are using those methods to communicate as well, and they're using that to try to trick you into giving away information or to give them money. In a lot of cases, that information can be just as valuable as money to them. So, kind of what we'll be talking about are some of those ways that they're spoofing their communications and trying to trick you into engaging with them. And I thought I would start with this one. It's actually one that I saw this morning. The Newberry County Sheriff's Office posted this. Basically, somebody's making phone calls, pretending to be the sheriff or pretending to be deputies. And in this case, they're saying, you may have a warrant or you failed to appear to jury duty. And I think a lot of times, at least when I think about impersonation scams, this is kind of one of those ones that I think about. And kind of the main trick of this part is some kind of bogus allegation, right? They're saying you failed to appear to jury duty. There's a warrant out for your arrest. There's some kind of emergency and you need to take action now to be able to make this go away. And in this case, the sheriff's office here in Newberry County is, warning people don't fall for this. They're not going to call you and demand gift cards, cryptocurrency, that type of stuff. And in most cases, if it's a issue with the sheriff's department, something like that, especially if you miss jury duty, they're not going to give you a call. They're going to show up at your front door and probably have a warrant in hand to deal with that situation. So these types of things, it's just kind of important to know, sheriff's offices and other law enforcement agencies, they're not going to call you and demand money on the spot. There's usually, a court proceeding or something that would deal with that type of issue. And as they say, the best way to handle it is to hang up and maybe give them a few choice words before you do that. But that's kind of their humor. But that's kind of, one of the ways that scammers communicate an imposter, scam is they'll pretend to be a sheriff's office or somebody, and again, there's those allegations that you've done something wrong and need to deal with it. There's also kind of a twist of that that's come up, and where they may say there's something fraudulent or something that's going on your fraud, on your financial accounts or your bank accounts, your credit card or something like that. So they're not saying you did something wrong, but they're saying somebody else did something wrong and you've got to take some kind of action to be able to protect your money. So they're impostoring in that way where they're pretending to be a police officer or somebody and saying you need to do something right now to protect your finances. And they may offer you a way to help protect your money. One of the scams that's going on right now is they'll call or send, text messages, those kinds of things, and then get you to call them. But they're going to say, there's something wrong with your bank account. And in order to protect that money, you need to move it to another account, which just isn't the way that banks and financial institutions work, right? So there's no need to move your money from one place to another in order to protect it. They may also say we need to get verification codes if you've got, your bank account set up where they're going to send you those two-factor authentication codes and things like that, codes that you might have to enter before transferring money from one place to another. So if anybody's asking you to share those verification codes, hang up. Real banks will not ask you to share that information with them, especially if they're calling you out of the blue. And, again, anytime somebody's pretending to be a bank or law enforcement, you'll want to hang up and you'll want to use a real number that you know is true and trusted. And that might be a phone number that's maybe on the back of a statement that you have, or you may want to go online yourself and look up, those names and addresses and phone numbers that are listed on those websites that you know are real. And you'll want to look up that information yourself and not trust those cold calls that are providing that information to you. And some of these scams can be rather complicated, as I said, and they may have multiple people involved. A lot of cases, they'll have one person who pretends to be a law enforcement officer. Then while you're on the phone with that person, another person may give you a call, say they're with the bank, and they all kind of have that same story going, but you're getting multiple calls from multiple people claiming the same problem is going on, and they're all going to help you resolve the situation somehow. So just kind of keep in mind that some of these things can get rather complicated and they can be kind of hard to follow sometimes. And that's kind of how they trick people to kind of interact with it, right? They scare you and then they're going to say, we can help prevent these problems from happening. So just kind of keep that in mind. And again, if you're getting these types of calls or these types of messages, you'll want to verify it yourself with either your bank or with law enforcement. We've got kind of a little, kind of the old school example of some of the things that are going on. With this is the old-fashioned kind of tech support pop-up window, right? So you'll get the message that says, threats detected. You need to call this number in order to speak with a live technician who can help you fix the problem. There's kind of a little spin with this that's been going on recently where these alerts may pop up, but instead of saying, it's a virus on your computer, it might say suspicious activity detected in your credit card account or your banking account or whatever. And then they want you to call that phone number with the bank to fix that issue. And again, it's that same kind of thing. When a message is popping up out of the blue like that, don't trust calling that phone number and dealing with whoever is on the other end. You'll want to kind of look up those types of numbers yourself. If they're saying there's an issue with your bank account, you'll want to call the bank account. If they're saying there's an issue, with a computer software, if you have that software, you might want to look up some of those contact informations yourself in order to be able to deal with that situation. Kind of the tips with this kind of tech support imposter, these kind of imposters that are going on with that type of situation is you just never want to call a number that's showing up on a security pop-up warning out of the blue like that. If you're getting a security pop-up warning and it's a service that you actually are subscribed to or that you're actually enrolled in, you've probably got ways to contact those people on your own. Again, it's probably showing up on your account that you can log in on your website yourself or something like that. So kind of look up those types of things. And again, you don't want to click links that are showing up with these just because you never know where those links may end up taking you to. They could kind of take you to a fake website. They may take you somewhere where there's some sort of malware or ransomware type situation that then, something is downloaded to your computer. So just really kind of be cautious of clicking on those links when things like that may pop up. And as always, don't give remote access to your device to a random person. If you're not making that contact yourself and it's something that just pops up on your computer, you do not want to give them remote access to your device. They should, if that happens, they would be able to possibly log in to any kind of bank accounts that you have, on your saved addresses on your websites or whatever. They may be able to, again, download malicious software, things like that. So if you're getting something like this and you're concerned about it, you may want to find somebody that you trust to deal with that situation and talk with them, either family, friend, something like that. Or if you pay for a service, you want to initiate that contact yourself and then have them look at it. Another popular type of kind of imposter thing that goes around quite frequently are these bogus alerts. I know I get things like this one myself. This probably was saved off my phone, to be quite honest. I can't remember where this graphic came from, but it probably, I've gotten this one several times myself where you get that bogus alert where they're pretending to be your bank or some kind of financial institution where they say there's a transaction update, right? You've got a debit going to your account for $599.97. And if it's not you, you're supposed to call Amazon in this case at that phone number that's listed. And again, those are kind of those fake warnings that they send out. Scammers love to pretend to be Amazon, and they do that because they know just about everybody has an Amazon account, right? It's one of the biggest companies in our country, or probably the world, right? So they know that you probably have an account with Amazon, or you've used Amazon, you're familiar with it. So they're going to pretend to be them, then give you a phone number that you call, and then once you call that, you're not getting someone at that actual company, you're getting a scammer who's then going to try to walk you through a fake process of protecting this money that supposedly is being debited from your account. Kind of the warning things with that are just kind of no scammers spoof phone numbers, text messages, email addresses. I believe we got another example where they're using, kind of the same type of scam with emails that will go through. But again, just kind of know that those phone numbers, especially with phone numbers and text messages that are coming through, those are very easy for scammers to fake. So don't kind of trust when they come in and that they're actually who they say they are. Again, you'll not want to call or text those numbers when they're coming in because you may be dealing with a scammer. So you may be giving them a call or text and giving them a little bit more information about yourself. And sometimes they're even just looking to know it's a real phone number. So if you're calling them or texting them, they then know that this is an active phone number and they can try a different scam with you or sell that phone number and information to another scammer who will then, pick up those phone numbers from them and then try calling you, texting you, things like that, and contacting you about a different type of scam altogether. But really kind of the big thing to know about these types of text message scams, things like that, is if you're worried about a purchase, you'll want to go to that website or you'll want to go to the app that, if you've got that type of account, you'll want to go that directly on your own. Again, don't use those links or phone numbers that are in those messages, but you'll want to go to that website or that app yourself and check it yourself to see if it is in fact something that has gone through as far as a purchase like that. And if it's something where, that one said you're being debited $600 almost, you'd be able to log into your bank account too and just kind of double check that that account was not charged that amount of money that was listed there. And again, another type of thing are these phony notices. They'll do fake subscriptions, fake invoices, those types of things. And again, they're trying to trick you and make you kind of afraid that there's some kind of big charge that's about to go through. In this case, this is one of the other companies that scammers love to impersonate. It's Best Buy and Geek Squad. FTC's put out a lot of warnings recently about these types of things. I know this email list here is a little bit older, from 2023, but these types of things are still happening and come up from time to time. And in this case, they're saying you've got to pay your tech support money for your devices. They're going to be charging you $439. And again, it's listing a phone number. Call the help center, get help for this problem, or this issue. You're going to be charged $439.76 if you don't hurry up and call this support company, or this support phone number. So again, it's kind of that they're using that Geek Squad name. They know it's a company that a lot of people use for their tech support issues. So you probably get some type of notice like this from them possibly. So they know, you're a little more likely to click on that or to give them a call if it's that company that you realize that you've dealt with for in the past. And again, it's a good time to remind people, don't give remote access to your computer for these types of things. If you really are having this type of issue, you'll want to go through your phone numbers and your records that you have yourself or when you signed up for these services and make those phone calls and initiate it yourself before you give remote access to your computer to somebody. And again, if you're worried about that, $439 charge going through, you might want to go to your credit card or your bank account and just kind of look over that, see if any unauthorized transactions went through, and if they actually did and it was something that you didn't initiate, you can then challenge that with your bank or your credit card company. And again, make sure you're using those legitimate phone numbers that you know are real. Like I said a minute ago, you can go through those service plans if you've signed up for something like this in the past, look for those phone numbers, or you can go to their website. If you've got a website like Geek Squad, something that you know is real and legitimate, you can go to their website and find those customer support phone numbers and contact methods yourself through those phone sites or apps that you know are legitimate and real. Fake discounts, giveaways, and prizes. This is type of message that I see all the time, especially on social media. I get them in my email list quite regularly. In this case, congratulations, you've won a 170-piece Stanley tool set. All you've got to do is participate in this loyalty program and confirm now, and then if you look, there's that kind of urgency message, hurry up, the number of prizes is limited, so you've got to confirm now. You got to click it right now in order to get this prize or this giveaway. And this is kind of one of those little tricks that scammers, and especially imposter scammers, like to use, is this message of you've got to act now. There's that sense of urgency, right? You're either going to get something free or you're going to have a problem if you don't take action now. And so some of our tips for these types of scams, just kind of know that scammers like to hijack or fake giveaways, and they're doing that to either get personal information, financial information, some of that thing, it can go on, but a lot of times if you're clicking through that and they're saying fill out these surveys in order to get this, or this for free, just know some of that information they may be looking for could be used, for either identity theft, or they're trying to get additional details about you that they can use for another scam. So really just kind of think about that when you're getting these types of messages, and kind of know what types of information they're looking for, and how that information can be used. A lot of times, like I said, these can come in through social media messages, your direct messages, but they may also respond to posts that you've made. If you're using some of those little keywords, or you're commenting and replying on popular accounts, a lot of times scammers have kind of those little bots that will automatically reply to people and kind of give you those trigger words, right? They're like, hey, give me a message, click on this link, and you'll be eligible to win this free prize, right? So a lot of times on popular accounts on social media, they'll spoof that person's account, and if you're commenting on it, they'll then reply to you and say, hey, you've won this. All you've got to do is go to this link and give us a little bit of information, and then you've won this prize, right? So that's kind of one of the things that they may try to do. Good reminder about that is just kind of remember, don't click these types of links that are promising these types of things. Just know they could contain malware. Even if you're not giving away that information, you may be downloading something that is then in the background of your computer and trying to find that information about you, or may even have ransomware or something like that in there. One of the things we talk about all the time is if somebody's asking you for a payment in order to get something for free, it's probably a scam. So a lot of times these things might be, oh, you've got to pay just a couple of dollars in order to pay for shipping, or pay for some kind of tax or some kind of registration fee, something like that. Just know they're asking for payment for something that's supposed to be free. It's a good chance it's a scam, and they may be using that information then if you're entering in credit card information, debit card information, something like that onto these malware sites. I know we'll hear from people sometimes where they'll say, yeah, it went through the first time, it was just a $3 charge, but 2 weeks later, I started getting all of these other charges started popping up on my account. So really just kind of know that that's the risk that's out there with that type of scam. And again, if you're seeing these types of messages in your emails or social media or wherever, you can go to those businesses directly to see if those sweepstakes or prizes are real. One thing I tell folks is social media, especially, scammers like to kind of mimic those real companies, and they'll spend money on ads that will then, they'll promote these fake giveaways or these fake prizes, that type of stuff on social media ads. They know they can spend, just a couple $100, get people to click that, and then they could potentially make thousands of dollars off just spending, $100 or so on a social media ad. So really the best way to kind of fill those types of things out are to go to those websites or those social media sites yourself and look at those trusted sources yourself and not really depend on those ads and those things that may just show up in your feed randomly. One of the other popular scams that we see, and especially during holiday seasons, things like that, are these fake delivery notifications, and they all have a kind of a different variety of ways that they come in. A lot of times they'll pretend to be US Postal Service, they may pretend to be UPS or FedEx, but basically they're going to say there was a problem delivering something, you've now got to take an action, which in this case is go to this website and update your information so we can send you your package. And really kind of the big thing to think about with these are, was I expecting a package? Did I ask for notifications? And does the website that's on the message actually look like the real and authenticated website? So, when I say that, it sounds kind of obvious, but if you're not expecting a package, you're probably not getting a text message about a package that didn't show up. And as far as the notifications go, kind of the important thing with that is to know that especially the US Postal Service, you've got to sign up for that request yourself. They're not just going to start coming into your text message box. You've got to sign up for that individual package or that individual purchase that you've made. That's something that you have to initiate. So don't click those links if you're getting them. And again, they do offer some free tracking services and things like that, but you'll have to go to their website and track it yourself or initiate that request for them to send you those messages about that package. And I've got a link here. If you've downloaded the PDF, you should be able to click this link, but I'm going to go ahead and click it here just to kind of give you a quick show. It should be showing up here. I'm going to load it up on that page. But the Postal Service has pretty good information kind of about things you can do to report these types of text message scams that are coming in. They have specific email addresses and ways that they ask for you to report these to them. So just kind of keep that in mind. And then they also have a lot of good information about things you can do to, verify that these things are real. And they also have it laid out kind of the services that they offer and how you can go about signing up for that. So just thought that was kind of important to put out there for folks in case you are getting those types of messages and you are worried about not getting those types of things or missing a delivery, something like that. You can go to that website and it will kind of help you sort out a lot of that. And as always, we kind of go through our process of how you can avoid scams. And we know that kind of scammers keep changing up the ways that they do things and some of the tactics they use, but there are a few kind of simple things you can do to be able to kind of know red flags of all types of scams because they kind of all follow some of the same types of patterns. So one of the big things is just don't answer calls or respond to text messages from people that you don't know or numbers that you don't know. And if you're getting a lot of these phone numbers coming in, text messages, things like that, that are coming in with these types of messages, just block them as they come in. There are a lot of good resources that you have. Most cases, your smartphone, if you're getting them on your phone, will be able to kind of help you block those and report those as spam. And it kind of helps them figure out where these numbers are coming from, who's sending them, and then they can take action and block those providers or those people that are sending out those bulk messages. And another thing you can do if you've got a landline and you're getting those types of things, you can talk to your phone provider about ways to block messages or ways to screen those messages. A lot of them either have devices or services that they can offer you that will help prevent some of those phone numbers and those phone calls from getting through in the first place. So our tip number 2 is just don't give out personal or financial information for requests that you didn't expect. And a lot of times, legitimate businesses aren't going to ask for that type of information. They're not going to just call you out of the blue and ask for all kinds of personal information, access to your debit card account and things like that. So anytime you're getting a message out of the blue and they're asking for money or information like that, just kind of take a step back and don't give it to them. Then you can, like I said, look up those phone numbers yourself or those websites yourself and type them in yourself. Don't trust those things that are coming in out of the blue, and don't respond to them with that information. And again, don't fall for those high pressure tactics. If somebody's pressuring you into making a decision or pay or give personal information right away, it's most likely a scammer. And again, those may be those things of act now, or there's this giant problem, you know, that $400 or $500 transaction is going to go through, or it might be act now where you miss out on a great deal, right? So really kind of the thing to think about is that pressure to act right now. So just kind of anytime that type of thing comes over, you know, you come across it, don't fall for it. And kind of know the forms of payment that scammers like to use. We haven't really talked about this very much, but those requests for gift cards, cryptocurrency, wire transfers, those are the types of things that scammers often like to use. And they do it because they know it's hard to trace. If you've, you know, given away all those phone numbers or those access codes and things like that that are on the back of a gift card, that's just as good as cash to them. So once you hand those numbers over to a scammer, they've most likely cleared those cards off right away. Then it becomes hard to get that money back. Cryptocurrency is kind of that same way. A lot of times, you know, they'll tell you to send payments in cryptocurrency for certain things. Cryptocurrency by nature is designed to be hard to follow, hard to find out where those payments are going, how it's being used, things like that. So just kind of know gift cards, cryptocurrency, wire transfers. If somebody's telling you that you have to pay in those types of ways, that should raise a red flag. And our last tip is kind of stop and talk to somebody you trust before you take an action. You know, might be a friend, family member, something like that, but just kind of talk it out with somebody and let them know what happened, kind of what the issue was and kind of what the request is. And a lot of times, just as you're saying stuff out loud or you're kind of thinking about it a little bit more, you might realize that it may not be the best decision to make. And it's always helpful when these complicated things start to kind of happen. It's always good to have a second set of ears and somebody else's brain working on it as well, who can kind of help you walk through that process and figure out, you know, what's going on. And we always like to talk about free things that you can do to protect your information and your money. So we've got a few little tips and some tools that you can use for those types of situations. One of the biggest things that you can do is set up two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication, especially on financial accounts. If your financial accounts aren't offering that type of service, you might want to talk to them and find out why and what you can do about it. But the big thing is just set up some kind of method to be able to get into those financial accounts. I'd also say like your email, socials, your social media accounts, things like that. But you'll want to have some kind of extra step. So if those passwords are breached or scammer gets access to those accounts somehow, they then have to get through that second set of security in order to get that information or that money. And a lot of times it's just, you know, setting up a passcode that might come in like a text message or something like that. There are security keys that you have to actually physically plug into a computer that you can use as well. Or you can use the face scan on a lot of phones, things like that, or fingerprint. Just kind of the important thing is setting up something that you're comfortable with, one of those methods, and using it. And again, it would just kind of set up that second step to get into those accounts. And it could be the difference of a scammer getting into your account or not getting into that account. We also encourage people to set up account alerts for those financial accounts. A lot of times it will be just something where if you've spent a certain amount of money, you might get a text message or an email. I know I have those set up on my account where if I spend a certain amount of money, I then get that notification that this, you know, transaction has gone through and I need to take a look at what that's, you know, what's going on with it. Might also be an alert that tells you if somebody's trying to sign into your account from another device. And a lot of times that might just be that is is this you alert, where it sends you, somebody's tried to sign in, is this you? And you just hit yes or no on a text message or a app notification that might pop up. You can kind of pick whatever kind of works for you and what you're comfortable with. Some of the credit reports will send you notices if something dramatically has changed, so you can consider that as well. Just kind of the important thing to do is find all these different types of alerts that your financial accounts may have available and take advantage of them. I know I have some set up on my accounts where if there's online purchases, I get those text messages right away. So then I know if somebody's got my credit card, using that online is really a great tool that is free for you, and it can help you find those fraudulent transactions right away. And if you're not taking your look at your credit report regularly, we really encourage you to do so. Annualcreditreport.com is the website that we recommend, and it's going to give you one free report from each of the 3 major credit reporting agencies, and they do that every week now. I know it's annualcreditreport.com. You used to be able to just get one a year from each of the 3 major credit reporting agencies, but since the pandemic, they started offering that service available every week. You don't necessarily need to go in that frequently. That is probably a little too time consuming for most folks to go every week, but you may want to look at it, if it's every month or so. You just kind of want to do that frequently and make sure things on that credit report are accurate and that it's information for you and not somebody else. And that if you've got accounts on there like your credit cards, things like that, or loans that you might have taken out for a car or something, you just want to make sure that the information on it is current, that it's what you actually owe for those accounts, and that that information matches up with what is real and that type of stuff. So you want to look at it, make sure it's accurate, and make sure it's current, make sure all your phone numbers and things like that are also relevant to you and not somebody else's addresses and things like that. Again, you want to review it carefully. We say at least once a year. And we tell people annualcreditreport.com because it is authorized by federal law. It's required by federal law to be able to give you this information, and they're doing so without selling all the data and things like that that's coming through with them too. So some of the other free services that are available through some of your financial accounts, things like that, they may be offering that service to you for free, but then they may be doing something else with that information. Just kind of keep that in mind when you're taking a look at these things and kind of make those decisions that you're comfortable with. And if you're looking through your credit reports and you're finding things that don't quite look right, you might want to consider a fraud alert. That's going to basically last for a year, and it's going to alert businesses that are looking at your credit reports that they might need to take extra steps to verify your identity. You'll call or report it with one of the 3 credit bureaus, and then they share that information with the other 2. So with the fraud alert, you just make one call and that's it. They'll talk to the other ones and put that alert in place on those other credit reports as well. The credit freeze is something that is a great tool that you can use, and would really recommend that everybody put this in place on their credit reports. So you can go to the 3 major credit reporting agencies and you request this freeze, and basically it's going to stop anybody from accessing your credit reports. And that means they're not able to look at it, and they're also not able to add new lines of credit in your name. So it basically stops other people from creating credit that's using your name, your information, things like that. So especially if you've been a data breach victim or something like that, you probably want to go in, put a freeze in place, and again, it's going to be free. You've got to put it in at all 3 of the credit reporting agencies. But then if you're, like a situation where I was in December, I wrecked a car, needed to get a new car kind of unexpectedly. I was able to go in, then kind of lift or thaw that freeze, apply for those credit loans, or not credit loan, but for my car loan. I was able to go in and apply for those car loans, get that loan. Once that went through, you put the freeze back in place, and then it prevents anybody else from kind of doing that same type of transaction. So you're going to really protect your accounts, your credit reports from being accessed by other people, and new accounts from being open by doing this freeze. And again, you can thaw it or lift it whenever you want, and that process is free as well. You can also, most of the websites, believe it just took a few minutes. You can go in and say, I want it thawed for this number of days or over this time period, and it automatically puts that freeze back in place when that time period is over. And usually within an hour, I believe an hour is that requirement time. If you're doing it online or on the phone, they have to do it within an hour of you notifying them. So for me, I did that right before I left my house to go look at cars. By the time I got to that dealership, that freeze was already lifted. I was able to make those transactions. And then, like I said, when I got back home, it's put back in place, and then my account's protected. And if you think you're a victim of identity theft or fraud or scam like this, you can call our office. We've got that 800 number that's right there on the screen. You can also go to consumer.sc.gov. We have our identity theft reports and our scam report forms on our website. You can click that message, like I said at the beginning. You go to our website, consumer.sc.gov, and in the middle of the screen, there's that How Do I button. If you click that, report a scam, report identity theft is one of those options there on the screen. And we are going to try to get to some of your questions if we've got any. I haven't had a second to click on that little button yet, but we'll take a look at that here in a second. And as I do that, I just kind of want to encourage people, if you're not following us on social media, you can do so. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and on YouTube as well. A lot of times we'll hopefully be able to get our webinars up on YouTube, usually the same day as they happen. So we've got a long list, probably 40 something webinars that are on YouTube. So encourage you to go through that and find a variety of topics that might be of interest to you. If you think you're a victim of a scam, again, we've got our identity theft and scam prevention guides on our website as well. And you can request those from us. We can mail them to you if you would like an actual physical copy, or you can take a look at them online, read on them there. But we've got a variety of publications that we've got. Ditch the Pitch is our scam prevention guide. We're in the process of updating that one. So we'll have some new information on that one hopefully sometime soon. We've got also our identity theft prevention guide and some other identity theft resources as well on there that you can download, and our credit report guide that kind of helps you take a look at your credit reports and kind of what you should be going through, what you should be looking at as you're doing that. And again, all that information is on our website, and we can also mail them to you if your church or a library or any kind of community group like that might want more copies of it. We are able to do that. Again, thank you very much for joining us today, and I hope you have a good day. We appreciate it.